Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I will now call the meeting to order and I'll review the ground rules. As a teleconference, we need to ensure that everyone either uses handsets, earbuds, or mute buttons on their speaker phones and computers, as otherwise background noise becomes distracting and makes the meetings difficult. To maintain timelines around subsequent meetings, everyone needs to have dialed into the meetings on time. I will announce each agenda item and introduce staff to present the recommendation. When I call for a question on a matter, if you have a question comment, please indicate by stating your name. I'll also record the request for speakers and will ask for anyone else who may have missed once the list is exhausted. Those presenting as delegations will have 10 minutes to speak to the application at hand, not past applications or associated applications. Staff will have a timer for 10 minutes and will give the delegation a 2-minute warning. If the delegation presentations are not focused on the application at hand, I'll ask the delegations to focus their presentations. If the committee members would like to propose an amendment to a motion moved and seconded or deferred, please indicate during the question comment period after the motion is on the table. When asked to vote on a motion, please indicate by yes if you are in favor of the motion on the floor or no if you are not in favor of the motion on the floor. This will also help to check that we have maintained quorum throughout the meeting. I'll now introduce Matt Vaughn, Director of Planning, to provide the following comments.
Hi there, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 6th Committee of Adjustment meeting during the COVID-19 state of emergency pandemic. The purpose of this Committee of Adjustment meeting is to give consideration to minor variance and severance applications. Due to the constraints of the pandemic, rather than a traditional meeting in council chambers, this virtual meeting will act as a statutory meeting for the Committee of Adjustment planning applications. Staff posted notice signs on December 21st, meeting the Planning Act requirements, and meeting materials were posted on our website last week, along with a report which provides staff's professional planning opinion on the merits of each application. If the committee deems it appropriate, they will render a decision tonight. Decisions of the Committee on Planning Act matters can be appealed to the local planning appeals tribunal once notice of the decision has been rendered. The planner will provide a quick overview of the planning application, including any public input, and then provide the recommendation. Committee will have an opportunity to ask the planner questions on the application before voting on a decision. On the telephone this evening, we have the appropriate staff. Myself, Director of Development Planning. We have Planner Amanda Wazinski and Senior Planner Kayla DeLay to assist the committee. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Matt. I'll now call each member in order, and please indicate by stating present if you are in attendance. Mary Jane Brown, present. Harry Emmett.
Present.
Bob Hamilton.
Present.
Daniel Zuloff.
Present.
Rebecca Smith.
Present.
Steve Schmidt. I think your mic is mute, Steve.
Present. Did that come through? Okay.
Yes, we heard you. And John Vamus.
Present.
Thank you. I'll now introduce item 2, approval of the agenda, and I will turn it over to Member Hamilton.
Moved by myself and seconded by Member Schmidt that the agenda for the County of Brant Committee of Adjustment meeting for November 19th, 2020. No, it shouldn't be. It should be January 19th, right? Or 21st. Be approved.
I'll now ask if any members have any items to add to the agenda. I assume there are no members that wish to add any items. Please, so I will now ask the committee if you are in favor of the motion, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes, if the date is changed.
Yeah. Next, if there are no members wish to add, if you are in favor, starting Zuloff?
Yes.
Thank you. Vamus?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
And Brown, yes. I will now introduce item 3, a declaration of pecuniary interest, and I'll ask if there are any members present who wish to declare an interest and indicate so by stating your name and the application number. It appears there are no conflicts for this meeting, so we will now move on to item 4, and I will I will turn it over to Member Emmett to make the motion to adopt the minutes from the previous meeting.
Moved by myself, seconded by Member Zuloff, that the minutes from the County of Brant Committee of Adjustment meeting of November 19th, 2020 be approved.
Thank you, Member Emmett and Member Zuloff. And we will now move on to the first item on our agenda, which is item 6A, CA 2106, application A2120DN from Dan and Heidi Aston, 7 Catherine Street. And I will turn it over to Dan Demisniak for his presentation.
Sorry, Marianne, shouldn't we vote on the previous adoption of the minutes?
Sorry. I will ask the member Emmett.
Yes.
Can you make the motion, please?
I did. We just haven't voted
Right.
on it.
Yes, I'm very sorry. All members, can you indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with member Emmett?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Zuloff?
Yes.
Vamus?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
And Brown, yes. The motion to adopt the minutes from the previous meeting carried. I will now move on to item 6A, which is application A2120DN for CA 2106 from Dan and Heidi Aston, 7 Catherine Street, and I will turn it over to Dan Demisniak for his presentation.
Hi, I'm Jay. I'll be presenting tonight on behalf of my colleague Dan. So this is a variance application requesting relief from section 8.2 in order to facilitate an addition to the existing dwelling. The application requires relief for the minimum street setback of 4 meters from the habitable portion of a dwelling where 4.5 is required, and to permit 5.5 meters to the attached garage where a minimum setback of 6 meters is required. The subject lands are located on the south side of Catherine Street within the town of Paris, and they are fully serviced by municipal infrastructure. The setbacks requested will provide additional flexibility for the homeowners to construct a dwelling, in addition to the dwelling, and the off-street parking requirements will continue to be met, as the driveway is wide enough to accommodate 2 vehicles side by side, as well as space available within the attached garage. Staff have reviewed the proposed variance with the applicable planning policy, and we're of the opinion that the variance is appropriate and meets the 4 tests as outlined in the Planning Act, and therefore staff recommends the application be approved.
Thank you. I'll ask if the applicant or the agent for this application are present.
Yeah.
There is someone to
Yeah.
present.
Dan Aston.
Can I please have your name?
Dan Aston.
Thank you. And are there any public delegations who wish to present?
No, I think Kayla covered everything that we're applying for.
Okay. I'll ask now if you can provide your presentation. You,
It was pretty everything that Kayla said covered anything that I was going to say. There'll still be parking for 2. We won't need road parking, as well as we'll have parking in the garage. We can't go backwards because of building that is already there. I just want to go forward to allow another room for one of our children.
is that the end of your presentation then?
Yep.
Thank you. Are there any members who wish to have a question or would like clarification on this application? And if so, please state your name.
Hamilton, through the chair to staff, just wanting to know the condition on the development services has been changed from unable to support to will support. Just wanting to know why that was changed, and I've got no questions, just trying to understand the situation.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
through the chair, it's my understanding that Amanda has circulated updated comments from engineering on this, but essentially our group in engineering just wanted to ensure that there was sufficient parking space left for within the driveway. And so we have confirmed that the space in the driveway does meet the zone provisions for parking space.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions or comment from the committee on this matter? It appears there are none. So I will now turn the matter over to Member Schmidt to make the motion. I believe, Member Schmidt, you are still muted.
Can you hear me now? No?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Steve, you're actually through the chair. You actually just remuted yourself.
Mr. Schmidt, we can't hear you. It looks like you're still muted.
Okay, is that any better?
Better, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. It is moved by myself and seconded by Member Emmett that application A24/20/DN from Dan and Heidi Essen of 7 Catherine Street, former town of Paris, be approved as outlined in the staff report CA 2106.
I believe you're finished your motion now, as
Yes.
some of the sound cut out to me at the very end. Okay, I can hear. I will now ask members to indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with member Emmett.
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Zuloff,
Yes.
Vamus,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
and Brown, yes. The motion has been carried. The application has been approved. Thank you. We will now move to item 6B, CA 2105 for applications A 2020 KD from Scott and Jacqueline Yeager, 423 King Edward Street, former township of Burford, and I will turn it over to Kayla Delai for the.
Thank you. This is an application requesting relief from section 4.4 of the zoning bylaw in regards to gross floor area for an accessory structure. The application is proposing a gross floor area of 200.7 square meters, where 140 meters is permitted for accessory buildings. The subject lands are municipally addressed as 423 King Edward Street and are located on the north side of King Edward in the former township of Brantford. It is staff's understanding that the proposed accessory structure is for personal use and will be used to store items such as a fifth wheel trailer. Staff is of the opinion that the variance request for increased floor area is minor in nature. It's appropriate and desirable development on the subject lands and is in keeping with the intent and purpose of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. It should be noted that a condition will be added to demolish the existing accessory building that is currently on the lands today. Staff is recommending the approval of the variance application subject to the attached conditions.
Thank you, Kayla. I will now ask if the applicant or their agent is present, and if so, can they please do a presentation?
Hello, everybody. I didn't realize I was going to have to do a presentation, but I just a local guy from Paris, and I just like to have a garage that's big enough to accommodate all my stuff that I have out here. You know, I have commercial lawnmower, enclosed trailer, dump trailer. I can't hear nothing.
So you feel you have nothing further to add to the staff presentation?
Other than, you know, like the building that is here now was built in 1997, and it's a bit of an eyesore on this property. And, you know, like even for my wife, you know, she cringes when she drives in to the property, you know, and we approach this building, like it just needs to come down. We need to have something nicer on the property.
Thank you. Are there any public delegations to present on this matter?
Through the chair, there's no members of the public here.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. I will now ask the members of the committee, are there any questions or comments or requests for clarification? And if there are some, please advise now. It appears there are none, so I will now turn it over to Member Vamus to make the recommendation.
Moved by myself and second by Member Smith that application A20-20-KD from Scott and Jacqueline Yeager, 423 King Edward Street, former township of Burford, be approved as outlined in staff report CA-21-05.
Thank you, Mr. Vamos. I will now ask the members to indicate if you are in favor of this motion, starting with member Emmett.
Yes.
Thank you. Hamilton,
Yes.
Zuloff,
Yes.
Vamos,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Schmidt,
yes,
and Brown, yes. The motion has been approved and the motion has carried and the application has been approved. Thank you, members. We will now move to item 6C on our meeting agenda, CA 2103 for application A2121AW, David McPherson, on behalf of 2715292 Ontario Incorporated at 2 Queen Street North. And I will turn it over to Amanda Wisniewski for presentation.
Thank you. Through the chair. The applicant is seeking 2 minor variances to allow for reduced street setbacks from Oakland Road and Queen Street North to facilitate an addition to the house. Along Queen Street North, the applicant is matching the setback of the existing dwelling for the proposed addition. 1 public comment was received seeking clarification on the location of the septic. Staff are supportive of the 2 variance requests as the reduced setbacks have been existing for many years, and staff do not believe there will be any adverse impact on the neighboring properties. The Heritage Committee representative was circulated on the application and they did not have any concerns. Staff can answer any questions the committee may have.
Thank you, Amanda. Is the applicant or their agent present?
Hi, I'm here. And my mic's on, I think.
Can you please state your name?
My name's David McPherson. I'm the agent representing the owners of the property. This is a century-old brick home that was purchased with the view to relocate a skincare clinic that operates in Simcoe at present to as a home occupation use. And so the room that would be used for that is going to be added on the rear. There's sort of a dilapidated covered entrance and an old attached garage that was converted to living quarters is in poor condition. We propose to demolish all of that and rebuild on the exact same footprint, extending the living quarters a little bit into the rear yard. I'm in agreement with the planner's recommendation. I do have a couple questions relating to the planner's report. If I can have a chance to ask those, but that's the gist of this application.
Please ask staff your questions at this point.
In the list of conditions attached to the approval of this, condition number 3 reads, the applicant acknowledges a business cannot be operated under the structure without being subject to additional reviews if necessary. But in the permitted uses in that zone, a home occupation, which includes a variety of medical offices, is a permitted use. So I'm baffled at that. Could you explain some of that, Amanda? Why that condition would be there?
Yep. Thank you. Through the chair. That's a standard condition we include with minor variance applications. Knowing that you're doing a home occupation, we would just need to confirm against our zoning bylaw that you're meeting the maximum gross floor area for a home occupation, but a home occupation is a permitted use in this zone.
Okay, so I've got nothing to fear with that comment then.
Okay.
Is that what you're saying?
Through the chair, that's correct. We would just need to confirm the gross floor area of the home occupation, but assuming you meet those provisions, you would be fine because a home occupation is a permitted use.
Okay, can I ask another question on condition number 5? Development engineering has asked that the property bars be pinned prior to building permit. And I submitted an up-to-date, hot off the press survey of the property. The surveyors could not have done that work without identifying the property bars. So I'm not sure why development engineering has asked for that. Is that something that they've misunderstood, or is it something that I'm misunderstanding?
Through the chair, it's just a recommendation. Since you have provided the survey, you could submit that when you apply for the building permit, and that would clear that condition.
The survey I've already submitted would be sufficient?
That's correct.
Okay. That's the end of my. Sorry?
Okay. Thank you. I was just going to question if you had any further comments or questions on the conditions.
No, not at this time.
And I'll ask Amanda if there are any public delegations for this application.
Through the chair, there's no additional members of the public.
Thank you. I will now ask the committee, are there any members who wish clarification, have a question, or would like to comment on this report? And if so, please indicate your name. It appears the committee members have no questions or comments. So I will now turn it over to Member Smith for the recommendation on this application. Is it Member Smith who is making the motion on this application, item 6C?
Through the chair, Member Smith might be having some troubles with the internet, so you can put forward, or here she is.
I'm back. I don't know what just happened there. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Moved by myself and seconded by Member Emmett, the application A2120AW from David McPherson on behalf of 2715292 Ontario Inc., 2 Street North, former Township of Oakland, be approved as outlined in staff report CA 2103.
Thank you, Member Smith. I will now ask all members of the committee to indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Member Hamilton,
Yes.
Zuloff,
Yes.
Vamus,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
and myself, Brown, yes. The motion has carried. The application has been approved. Thank you, members.
Okay, and thank you. I'm going to leave the meeting now, if that's okay.
Yeah, that is okay.
All right. Goodbye.
Have a good night. We will now move to item 6D, CA 2104, report for application A2220AW from Engaged Custom Home Design on behalf of Robert Purley, 16 Jury Street. And I will turn it over to Amanda Wisniewski for presentation.
Thank you, through the chair. The applicant is seeking two minor variances, one for a decreased interior side yard setback, and the other being a reduced street setback for a covered structure, this being a porch. It is staff's understanding there is an existing detached garage with an existing setback of 0.33 meters. The applicant is proposing to remove this detached structure and build a new garage that would be attached to the house with the same setback. The second variance is for a covered porch with a minimum street setback of 0.6 meters. The zoning bylaw requires a street setback of 4.5 meters to the dwelling, but a covered structures such as porches are allowed to encroach 1.5 meters into the 4.5. Staff note the existing dwelling is approximately 1.5 meters from Jury Street. Staff are supportive of the application as the applicant is matching the existing setbacks and there will be no further impacts on the surrounding properties. The adjacent property is the Jury Street Park, and the County of Brant Director of Parks is supportive of the application, subject to conditions of approval. Staff can answer any questions the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll ask if the applicant or their agent are present.
Yes, I'm David Bennett. I'm the agent for the owner of the property. Just like you mentioned, the purpose of this renovation in whole is for the daughter of the owner to move in with the father to assist him in his advancing years, to keep him in his home, which is particularly important during our current pandemic, where being in a nursing home is obviously much more dangerous for any elderly person. So it's very important that the house be upgraded for future needs of her father and for more comfort for the daughter who is planning to move in. The reason for the garage needing to be so close to the property line is the fact that they will need to have two vehicles, because in spite of the father's advanced years, he is still driving and owns his own car. So the daughter and the father will both need a vehicle that could be placed in the garage. So I don't think I have anything further to add than that, but I am available for answering questions if people have questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there any public delegations that wish to present on this matter?
Through the chair,
There are.
I was just going to say,
Go ahead.
Through the chair, the applicant is actually here. I'm not sure if Wendy has any additional information she would like to add.
No, I don't think I have anything else to add. Because the fence line in the park has been existing prior to 1952 when the house was built. And when the new garage was built in the mid 1980s, there was no issue with where that garage was placed. In fact, it is exactly 4 feet from the edge of the garage to that fence, because that was believed to be the property line at the time.
Are there any further pieces of information you would like to add then?
No, nothing else. Thanks.
Thank you. Then I'll ask, are there any members on the committee that would like clarification or have questions or comments on this application?
Yes, Hamilton.
Thank you.
The condition number 5, I'm just trying to understand through the chair to staff what the field service staff are trying to say, that they want approval of somebody, the next door neighbors or the adjacent landowner for grading. I don't understand how or what that has to do with putting on these minor variances.
Through the chair, that comment is requiring the applicant, if they have to do any grading work, to get a letter of agreement actually from the county, because it is the park, allowing them to go onto the county property to access their property in order to do the work.
So for clarification, then you're saying it's the county of Brant is the landowner that may have to be identified, and it's the park that's the part that is not. It's not the other surrounding neighborhoods then.
Through the chair, it is the county's park that they would need to get access onto.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes.
My engineering company, Cahoon, has been working with the individual on staff who originally was not going to agree with what we were doing for that variance, but Cahoon Engineering has been in touch with that individual, and they have come to an agreement as to what the modifications have to be for that.
Thank you. Are there any further comments? I'll ask the members, do they have any comments, questions, or issues they need clarification on? It appears there are none. So I will turn it over to Member Emmett for the recommendation.
Moved by myself, seconded by Member Schmidt, that application 822-20-AW from Engaged Custom Home Design behalf of 16 Drury Street, former town of Paris, be approved as outlined in the staff report CA 2104.
Thank you, Member Emmett. I'll now ask the committee to indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Zoloff?
Yes.
Vamus?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
And Brown, yes. The motion has carried. The application has been approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will leave the meeting if that's okay.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you for attending. We will now move to item 6E on the agenda, report CA 2102 for application B5720AW from Patterson Planning Consultants Incorporated on behalf of Elevate Properties Inc., 478 Porch Road, Mount Pleasant. And I will turn the matter over to Amanda Wisniewski for a presentation.
Thank you. Through the chair. The applicant is proposing to sever one residential building lot with an area of approximately 1,000 square meters and a frontage of approximately 27.7 meters along Birch Road. Staff have confirmed with operations that the subject lands have one water allocated, which will be used for the severed lands. The applicant has acknowledged in their submission, and staff have included a condition of approval requiring the retained lands, which are not currently zoned with a holding, be rezoned with a holding to prevent additional development until there is water capacity. Staff are supportive of the application and appropriate conditions have been included. Staff can answer any questions the committee members may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Is the applicant or their agent present?
Good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Scott Patterson. I'm with Patterson Planning Consultants here tonight on behalf of the property owner. Nothing further to add to the staff report. We're here naturally in support of the staff report and recommendations. I do have one question about condition number 8, if I could seek clarification from staff for a second.
Yes, please go ahead.
My apologies, Amanda, for not asking about this sooner, but condition number 8 speaks to a reference plan being done, which I recognize, but it also notes including the location of the existing buildings, and the severed and retained lands do not contain any buildings. So is this meant for the abutting properties, or is this meant for, is this just an oversight in the condition?
Through the chair, that's standard wording. I should have removed the existing buildings within that condition. My apologies on that.
No concerns, Madam Chair. I just wanted to make sure I was giving direction to the surveyor if I needed him to do extra work. But if that can be removed from the condition, the requirement for existing buildings, because it's not relevant, then we have no further concerns or comments, and we're here naturally in full support.
Thank you. I'll now ask, are there any public delegations present?
Through the chair, there are no additional members of the public.
Thank you, Amanda. Are there any members of the committee who have questions or comments on this application?
Yes, Hamilton.
Thank you.
I'm looking at condition 2.3, daylight triangle measurement, giving that up to the county. It doesn't appear to be a road there. I see there might be something, I don't know if it's a subdivision plan or something previously put forward, but just to isolate and sever off one lot, what are we doing with the retained? And I'm just looking for clarification through the chair to staff.
Through the chair to member Hamilton, it's my understanding that the retained lands are to be developed in the future. And during the pre-consultation meeting, they had talked about the future development. And one of the agreements they came to is that they would do the future daylighting triangle as part of the severance application. I was not at this pre-consultation meeting, but Mr. Patterson, I'm not sure if you have additional information to add as well.
Through you, Madam Chair, I had a similar concern with this condition. We're not sure yet whether that land abutting this severed property will be a road. In the concept plans that we prepared, we had shown it as being such, and we'd accommodated the daylight triangle that would be required if it was a road. The condition requests that we convey the land now, which would appear to be premature considering we don't know whether it's going to be a road or not. But the advantage being that if the lands are conveyed to the municipality and something comes up later on that it's not a road, that the municipality has the opportunity to convey it back without going through the Committee of Adjustment. That process could be taken. So I do agree that that condition is a little perhaps premature because we don't know the condition whether there's going to be a road or not. But there was some flexibility in the future that we could address it if it wasn't required. So personally, I would prefer if that condition was removed, but I didn't want to cause any issues or cause for concern with committee, so I was willing to leave it in tonight.
Through the chair, we can reword that condition to say if applicable, and then we can have some further discussions with development engineering to see if that daylighting triangle needs to be deeded now as part of this application or in the future.
Does that answer your question, Member Hamilton?
Yes, it does. It's just, I was curious if on the official plan, there actually is a street there put there or not. But if we can make an amendment to, if it doesn't go forward, that the county and the applicant can work it out, then that's fine with me.
Thank you. Are there any further comments or questions from the committee members?
Through the chair, I just want to confirm that Mr. Patterson is okay with that amended condition, just adding in the words, if applicable, for the daylighting triangle.
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you. Then if so, there are no further comments or questions from committee members. It appears there are not. With that, I will turn this over to Member Schmidt for the recommendation, and it appears we have removed condition 8 and modified condition 2.3.
Through the chair, I just want to confirm condition 8 is still a condition. We're just removing some wording within that condition that spoke to the existing building. There still will be a requirement for a survey.
Again, should Mr. Patterson, can you comment? I interpreted that you were asking for the removal of the entire condition.
To you, Madam Chair, no, the condition is relevant. It has to be in place because a reference plan is required. It's just the wording speaking to existing buildings that needs to be removed. And if that is the case, we're fully satisfied with the condition.
Thank you. So then it will be just conditions 2.3 and 8, which have been modified. So I will now turn it over to Member Schmidt for the recommendation.
Thank you, Chair. It is moved by myself and seconded by Member Hamilton that application B57/20/AW from Patterson Planning Consultants on behalf of Elevate Properties, Inc. at 478 Birch Road be approved as amended and as outlined in staff report CA 2102.
Thank you, Member Schmidt. Now I'll ask all members of the committee to indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Zuloff,
Yes.
Amos,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
and Brown, yes. It appears the motion has carried. The application has been approved. Thank you. We will now move to item 6F on the agenda, staff report CA 2054 for application B5820 AW from Soul Arch on behalf of 256-1277 Ontario Inc., 273 and 275 Grand River Street North, and I will turn it over to Amanda Wisniewski for the presentation.
Thank you. Through the chair. The applicant is seeking to reestablish 2 parcels that inadvertently merged to facilitate the sale of one of the lots. Both parcels currently have existing dwellings on the properties. 2 public comments were received asking for information on future uses of the subject lands. Staff are supportive of the application and appropriate conditions have been included. Staff can answer any questions the committee members may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Is the applicant or their agent present?
Yes, I'm here, Jonathan Benskowski.
Thank you. Can you provide us with your the material on your applicant?
Yeah, essentially, Amanda really did a quick synopsis pretty well. It's essentially just a consent to sever to facilitate the sale of one of the parcels. That's it. There's no construction work involved. The uses as they are today are proposed to maintain. I do have a couple of questions about a couple of development engineering conditions and how they would relate in the future. One of them is fairly similar to what we just went through on the previous one. So Amanda, a couple of questions I have in terms of the daylight triangle. Is that something we would be dedicating today, or is that something we would be dedicating at the time of the roundabout being expanded?
Through the chair, I'm just reviewing the condition right now. Through the chair,
doesn't really say.
Yeah, I believe that would be dedicated now, but again, we can add in that wording if applicable, and then we can have that discussion with operations.
Please. And then the second question I have, Amanda, is if I look at the 0.3 meter reserve to be taken off of 275, which is the north lot, the lands to be severed, there is a sidewalk in front of it. My fear is if we dedicate that 0.3 meter reserve along the Grand River along the north portion, there is no access to the site from Grand River itself to facilitate any type of walkway from that sidewalk. So I'm not sure if the city would grant us on that 0.3 meter reserve we're dedicating a portion to have a sidewalk on.
Through the chair, we can add in similar wording just to have those offline discussions with operations and development engineering, just to confirm the intent of those conditions.
Yeah, my issue isn't the conditions itself, because they're OP conditions. They're going to happen really no matter what I say here. But it's really just going back to ensuring that there's access to the site from Grand River, because once I dedicate that 0.3 meter reserve, we've essentially lost any type of connection between our property and the roadway itself.
Yep, through the chair, we'll add in similar wording if applicable and have those discussions.
Perfect.
Thank you. Are there any public delegations on this matter?
Through the chair, there's no additional members of the public.
Thank you, Amanda. Then I'll ask the members of the committee, do you have any questions or comments for this application? It appears there are none. Then I will now turn it over to Member Hamilton for the recommendation, and I believe it was condition 3 that the request for the modification was. Thank you. Member Hamilton, are you still present?
Sorry about that. Yep. Moved by myself and seconded by Member Vamus, the application B58/20/AW from Soul Arch on behalf of 2561277 Ontario Inc., 273 and 275 Grand River Street North be approved as outlined in the staff report CA-21-01.
Thank you, Member Hamilton. I'll now ask the members of the committee to indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with Member Emmett. Member Emmett, I believe you're muted.
Yes.
Thank you. Hamilton?
Yes.
Zuloff?
Yes.
Vamus?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
And Brown, yes. The motion has carried. The application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess we will move to item 8 on the agenda, which is expected to be February 18th, 2021. And I will ask staff, there is a note regarding the tentative meeting date for the March meeting, which appears to be March 11th and not March 18th. Can you confirm, Amanda, please?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. That's correct. The March meeting is tentatively scheduled for March 11th rather than March 18th. So the second Thursday in March rather than the third Thursday, just to accommodate the week of March break. If any members have any issues with that, please send me an email. And if we need to reschedule the meeting, we can. But so far it's looking like it's March 11th.
Thank you, Amanda. And just to confirm, that meeting will, all meetings going forward will be starting at 6 p.m. Will that be the new start time?
Through the chair, that is discussions we're having. It's looking like it'll likely be a 6 p.m. start time for meetings going forward.
And with that, I will ask for a motion, if there's no further business, from Member Emmett, no, Member Smith, to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by member Emmett. The meeting is adjourned.